Franklin County Board of County Commissioners 9th session. Commissioner Jones, could you lead us in prayer and pledge, please, sir?
Yes, sir. Thank you. Our Heavenly Father, we come to you today in Jesus' name. This has been a time of unprecedented loss for us here in our community. Father, we pray today for the family of Brian Smith, who gave his life an ultimate sacrifice, rescuing someone from the waters of the Gulf of Mexico. Father, we pray that you would be with them today. We pray that you would be with the family members that lost loved ones last week in the fire on the island. And we especially pray today that you would be with those whose shores had a hurricane come to it in this last week out in Louisiana and Texas. Be with those victims, with those families. Father, as we decide our decisions today, help us not to look past our neighbor that's around us and what they're going through. Father, we thank you for direction and understanding today that only you can give. In Jesus' name, amen.
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 I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
Next on the agenda will be a resolution honoring the life of Mr. Brian Smith.
Commissioners, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, as Commissioner Jones said in the prayer, you know, we experienced a deep loss here recently with Mr. Brian Smith. You know, we experienced a lot of loss, but, you know, it's really tough when someone in the line of duty loses their life trying to help and save someone else. So in a discussion with the chairman and with Commissioner Jones, Courtney, I had Courtney do a resolution that she'll read this morning. And after that, if the commissioners have any words they'd like to say, I think that at that time would be proper, sir. And then after that, we'll do a moment of silence to honor Mr. Smith. Courtney?
The resolution reads as follows. Whereas this resolution is to honor and respect a fallen hero, Brian Stephen Smith, who was unselfishly dedicated to his family, his friends, and his community, and he was an active member of the St. George Island Volunteer Fire Department as both a firefighter and first responder since 2016. On the afternoon of Tuesday, August 25th, 2020, Brian Stephen Smith answered his final first responder call to duty. Brian perished while sacrificing his life to save a family of swimmers off the coast of St. George Island in the Gulf of Mexico. He is survived by his wife, Elizabeth Smith, of 33 years, and 2 children, a son, Byron Davis Smith, and a daughter, Rachel Elizabeth Smith. The Franklin County Board of County Commissioners and staff would like to dedicate this poem to the Smith family entitled Fallen Hero. How do you convey gratitude after such a great life has been lost? To speak of your unselfish sacrifice to save another that came with great cost. To say your name is to speak of the countless you have inspired. To remember your courage and strength means you will forever be admired. To count the immeasurable tears shed is something we cannot do, but to remember the life you lived is how we will bring endless honor to you. Your legacy will live on, for there is one sure thing we know. Brian Stephen Smith was a husband, father, son, brother, colleague, and friend, but most importantly, he will forever remain our true fallen hero. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Franklin County Board of County Commissioners conveys the most heartfelt sympathies to the family of Brian Stephen Smith and express sincere gratitude and appreciation for his invaluable service and commitment to the Franklin County community and to the St. George Island Volunteer Fire Department. This resolution is to be adopted this day, first day of September.
Thank you. From the Board of County Commissioners, we want to thank Mr. Smith. Well, we tell the family thank you for his service he did for Franklin County, and to the family, we're deeply sorry about your loss.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
although I didn't know Brian Stephen Smith, I feel like I have a kinship. If I ever heard or saw of an example of the Golden Rule, this man exemplified that. In that day when he died, he was really not full of himself. In my opinion, he was full of his fellow man. And he died in the service to our community. And his death was an act to protect humanity. I just want to say from my heart, and I believe speaking from the heart of this community, that Brian Stephen Smith will certainly be remembered. And I just want to wish peace to his family and his loved ones as we remember this very special man who has certainly humbled me. Thank you.
Anybody else?
Mr. Chairman,
Go ahead.
I'd just like to say that I'm in total agreement with what the Chairman and Commissioner Bowley said, and I don't know how to add anything to that. But I think the community as a whole feels the loss, and he did do what he was trained to do and sacrifice himself for others, and that's a great sacrifice for anyone to make.
Amen.
I agree with Mr. Burke. Well spoken, Mr. Burke.
Thank you.
Okay.
If I may, I didn't know Mr. Smith personally, but our oldest son, Nathan, worked for him for about a year and a half, 2 years at 300 Ocean Mile. And I just want to make sure to reiterate to the family that loss is loss. We are so thankful for the life he lived, and we're going to do our best to remember and what he gave his life for, and that's service to others. There is no higher calling, there is no higher answer. And I am so thankful today for this life and this family. Pray that God be with them.
At this time, we want to honor with a moment of silence, but I want to add to that, not only Mr. Smith, last week was a bad week, and we had some burn victims, so we'll honor both of them together, if that's all right with y'all. Okay.
And before we get a motion, yes, so before we get a motion to authorize the chairman's signature on that resolution that Courtney read, I also want to thank Courtney because the poem wasn't a copy and paste. Don't run so fast, Courtney. The poem wasn't really a copy and paste. She made that herself. That's her words.
How about that?
Done a good job.
So a motion to authorize your signature on the resolution, sir.
I need a
moved.
motion.
So moved.
I got a motion on the floor by Commissioner Massey,
Second.
second by Commissioner Burt. Any more discussion on that? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That passed unanimous. And once again, to the families, both families, I'm sorry about your loss. Next on the agenda will be approval of the minutes.
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion on the floor by Commissioner Massey, second by Commissioner Parrish, in which it'll be approval for July the 30th, August the 4th, and April the 18th. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That passed unanimous. Next on the agenda will be payment of the county bills.
So moved.
So moved.
I got a motion on the floor by Commissioner Massey, second by Commissioner Jones, All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That pass unanimous. Next on the agenda will be the tax collector, Mr. Rick Watson, tax certificate update.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the commission. Last year, the commission directed me to apply for a tax deed on several tax certificates that were owned by the county. Tax certificates, as you know, expire in 7 years. And so if no action is taken, the tax certificate and the liability just falls off. Franklin County had a number of tax certificates that were about to expire on a failed subdivision in Carabel. There were 16 blocks of about 16 lots apiece, so it was a total of 245 lots. We had to file on each certificate. There were around 20 different certificates. The cost to the county per certificate is $675. That pays for title search, the sale on the courthouse steps, and a fee to the tax collector's office. County certificates are different than regular tax certificates. The county is not required to pay private investors who have tax certificates outstanding on the property, but I'll explain how they are protected or have the possibility of being protected. We filed all the actions. We now have all the land in what's called the list of excess lands. Once a county applies for a tax deed application and receives it, that property goes on to the list of excess lands. The county holds that for 3 years. After 3 years, the county has title to that property free and clear. If there are any people that want to buy the land from excess lands, and I get calls often about what lands does Franklin County have on its excess lands list. Until this procedure was finished, we didn't have any excess lands. If someone wants to buy it, they have to pay all the certificates privately held. Frankly, it's unlikely, I think, that anybody will be buying this land. So the county will hold it for 3 years. Then they can do with it what they want to. It could be parkland. It could be for affordable housing. It could be sold to a developer and develop a nursing home if we want to get a nursing home here. But the total cost that the county has expended was $13,150. 3 lots have been sold out of the 245. And so the county got $675 for each of those lots returned. So the total cost to the county is around $11,000. And you will have title to 242 lots, free title in 3 years. So, any questions? This is a procedure that was new to the office. Each year, I will bring you a list of county certificates that are about to expire. I know there is one on another failed subdivision that we'll be taking a good hard look at. The time frame is in June of each year when they expire. And so I'll be coming back to you later this year, the first part of next year, to determine if you want us to go through that procedure again. So, but since it was new, I wanted to come and kind of give you an update and answer any questions if you have them.
Do you have any idea what the potential of these lots might be for the county?
It's pretty wide open.
Buildability.
Some of the lots are wet, I've been told. There's some good hardwoods on it too. But the state of Florida likes for land to be developed, and so there are ways to provide retention ponds and things like that. So, but it's a nice chunk of land.
it's in Mr. Burt's district. And it's, like you said, up on the front side is real nice property. As it falls off the back, it's kind of wet back in the back of it.
Okay.
So, but if we did nothing, we would have nothing. So I think it was wise.
Mr. Watson, when you're talking about property can be sold, what is it? It's not sold for what's owed to the county, it's sold at the value of the
For,
property?
when it's on the excess lands list, we have a list that we maintain with the clerk's office. And let me say also, tax certificates, when a tax deed is applied for, earn 18% interest. And so, to give you an example, I think the taxes owed on one of the certificates, one of the blocks, 16 lots, is around $23,000. That's what's owed now. And so if someone comes and says, we want to buy, you know, a block, they check with me because interest accrues monthly on that. So that'll go up every month for the 3 years.
So when you sell them though, what I'm saying is, you selling them for what's owed to the county and that's it?
All expenses that were involved and private certificate holders. See, the private certificate holders, we don't have to pay. Normally, when we call them investors, an investor applies for a tax deed application, that applicant has to pay all the taxes that are due on it for the 7 years. The county, by statute, does not have to do that. But if someone buys it off excess lands, then the private investor gets paid. But after the 3 years, and when the county owns it free and clear, it would be market value.
Okay. Is it appropriate to put this kind of land advertised, put it in real estate circles and that type of thing to spur interest?
I get calls all the time, people inquiring what land is there. It depends what the county wants to do. If they want that land ultimately to do something with, I wouldn't promote it. But that's the decision of the county commission. Now, there are also opportunities for public-private partnerships down the line where the county says, I've got the land, and bring a developer in to, I need a nursing home, or I need affordable housing, or whatever. The public-private partnership is very popular with local government because you don't have to come up with the money. You know, your asset, your part of the partnership and contribution would be the land.
They do a lot of parks with that wetland, don't
Pardon me?
they? I said they do a lot of parks and stuff with, around wetland.
Oh, sure. You see all these retention ponds everywhere, but I'm not a developer, so just got you the land.
Okay. Anybody got anything else for Mr. Watson?
Thank you very much.
Thank you for the information.
All right, appreciate it.
Thank you, Rick.
Next on the agenda will be Sheriff A.J. Smith, beach flag audit.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Morning, Sheriff.
So, I haven't seen the draft ordinance yet, but I know that Michael's working on it, so maybe he might want to talk about it.
Yeah, we got one right there.
I haven't had a chance to. I guess, did we pretty much just copy what Bay County or Walton County, the ones we sent you over?
Sheriff, this is a duplicate, for the most part, of the Panama City Beach ordinance that
Okay.
you had sent over. It's come to my attention this morning that the surfer issue is relevant here in Franklin County. I did not put the surfer exception into this ordinance.
Okay.
So if the board so chooses, I will have to amend the ordinance, but they can, if they choose to, declare an emergency today and adopt the ordinance as written, with the further amendment allowing the exception for surfers that are tethered to their surfboard.
Yeah, I support that, if the surfers that are tethered, because it is a flotation device, I'm good with that.
And the penalty that I have proposed under the ordinance is first a verbal warning for the swimmer to get out of the water under the double red flag. And if they do not, within a reasonable time, comply with that warning, then they would be subject to a second-degree criminal misdemeanor, which is up to 60 days in jail and/or a $500 fine.
Okay. I'm good with that.
Me too, because it's like this. I mean, people don't need to lose their life because somebody doing something that they don't supposed to do. I mean, they put themselves in harm's way like that and expect, people lose their, that shouldn't be. I just don't.
Well, I know I've had a lot of calls, I'm sure y'all have too, since Brian Smith gave his life out there on that call. And we have a shortage of beach flags, and I know that Fonda and I have talked about it, and that may be an issue that we're going to have to address as well. Some folks from the Civic Club have called me. They're going to discuss it because we do need, like where the incident with Brian was further on the east end where there are no beach flags on the beach. So we may want to, what do we have, 5 miles of beach that are public? We may want to look at putting flags every half mile that are on the beach where you could see them wherever you were along the beach, and then that'll also help us enforce this ordinance, because if somebody's in the water and says, well, I didn't see a flag. Well, if there are no flags, then you can't really argue that point, so we're going to have flags so that when we do order people out of the water, that there is a flag that's visible somewhere along the beach so that any common person could have seen it, and then we can take action. And I think once people understand that we have a flag system and we have an enforceable ordinance, that a lot of our problem will, it'll taper off. We're still going to have people get in the water, but at least we'll have a way to deal with them. And once they know that we're serious about it, and I think I've had that discussion with people too, that once we put it in place and we warn people like our attorney says, then we will take action and make believers out of them.
If I may, I don't know if Commissioner Jones wants to jump in or not. We're looking at two different funding sources for additional flags. One is the TDC, and two, Courtney was able to contact DEP. DEP informed her, they have a division, they informed Courtney that there's a grant out there that they're working with Courtney to get more flags. My question is going to be to the sheriff and I guess to the board. So we have to balance out how many flags we post versus how often it changes, who's going to change them. How often do flags, do they change the flags?
I mean, they could change daily.
Daily?
Weather conditions change. I mean, you could start out in the morning with a yellow flag, and then by the end of the day, have a double red. Just depends on what's going on.
So during the day, it'll change. It could change.
It could,
a few
yes.
times.
Most of the time, I think it's pretty consistent, but it could change over the course of the day.
Okay, that's what we'll have to balance out. But we're looking for funding for flags, Commissioner.
Chairman,
Go ahead.
can't you get the people who's renting the houses, the flags up and put it on their phone and tell, the renters that the flags are up?
I mean, I don't know. I know that a lot of the beach houses I've seen have placards, magnets on the refrigerator that talk about this stuff. But I mean, if we're going to have something that we can enforce, it's going to have to be, because it could be a day tripper that comes in and doesn't go there.
Right.
Could be somebody without a phone. So we're going to have, and I don't think it'll take that many flags. And, maybe we ask for some volunteers to help change. I mean, they got a turtle patrol. Those folks may want to, or the posse that we have. I mean, I think we can getting the flags changed to me is not the big issue. Big issue. Get them in place where they're visible, and if they're a half a mile from each other, I think that would be plenty visible. Okay. And you only got 5 miles, you may be talking 10 flags. Then you got a flag when they first come on the beach.
Yeah.
So I think that would be sufficient, and then if they're in a place that's not public, and we get called about it, like we did at the Cut just before Brian Smith lost his life. We had a swimmer in distress. They called the sheriff's office. We dispatched our boat. We dispatched deputies. And I told them to arrest the guy, and that's when we found out there was no punishment in the ordinance. And so, got with Michael, and we got it, we're getting it fixed. But I think anybody with common sense should have known that this, going out in the cut on a day like that was not a really smart thing to do. And even though there may not be flags there, we will deal with that on a case-by-case basis.
Yeah,
Chairman.
I think a lot of it has to do with our visitors that are coming here that are not aware of the dangers. We all live on the Gulf Coast. We've all been in the water and had the underturn grabbing at your ankles or whatever. So the locals are more aware of it, but when you get visitors coming from Kentucky and other places that don't have an ocean or a gulf in front of them, and they're not raised around that kind of stuff. So education is very important, as the sheriff has previously spoken, and I think that makes a big difference. Also, Commissioner Jones, would you like to say something about what the TDC is coming up with as another way of educating our visitors?
Yes, sir, I sure would. It's kind of different being on Zoom. I was just waiting my time. So what we've done, commissioners, is momentarily for now, there's already been a discussion about changing all our beach access signage in the county to come up with one consistent sign. But until that gets done, I've directed Mr. John Solomon from the TDC, because of an idea I seen online actually, to have some stickers made with QR codes for the flags that basically are going to be added to all of our beach access point signs, like a 3x3 sticker, and say, do you know what the flags are? Scan here. It will only help for those that have phones, and I understand there's a lot of other things that need to be done, and I stand ready to support any reasonable effort we can do so we never have this issue again, because this has been definitely too much for that family to had to ask of their loss of their loved one. I can also tell you, don't know how the discussion is going to go. TDC is also discussing doing a phone app for the county for tourist development, and on that app would be somewhere native in the app, somewhere that has the flags in it as well.
Do they have I don't know, but do they have some kind of electrical flag system where people wouldn't have to change it?
I'm sure they do. I mean, technology's out there. I'm sure that
Yeah.
that's probably something. Probably be a lot more expensive, but I'm sure it'd
It
be
would.
much simpler. Press a button, or somebody had an app on their phone.
Yeah.
I mean, certainly be worth looking into.
Where they get the feed electronically directly from, who changes the flag? Is it NOAA? Who does the flag?
Well, Mercy Operations,
Okay. I'll research that, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, it ought to be something like that.
They could be run by solar, Mike.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So they don't have to have electrical connection or anything for solar power, and you got the ability through the internet and wireless to change, to update the flag daily, as the sheriff was talking about earlier. Yeah, it would be a little more expensive, but, if we need to do that, and
Yeah,
so research that for us and come back.
sure will.
Yeah.
See if there's some way we could do that.
Very good idea.
Oh, they got it, because they driving semi-truck by themselves. They got something.
It's just a matter of whether we can afford it.
Yeah.
But there
It sure
may be
is.
some kind of grant or something we can apply for
Okay.
to do that.
I mean-
I don't know.
Yeah, because, when you depending on volunteers, they got good intention, but some can come up
Correct.
and they just can't make
No,
that move.
electronic would certainly be the best way to go.
Sure would.
And like I said, it depends on the expense. I mean, I've had some people reach out to me and say they're willing to donate money, stuff like that. So I think it'd be certainly worth looking at. And, and another thing I'm just going to bring up to you, because people have called me about it. I don't want to really be in the water rescue business, because I don't think all our deputies are trained for that. And it takes somebody with a high level of physical ability to make a water rescue. I commend the deputies that went in the water, even though they weren't trained, because they saw there was life at risk, but they did anyway, and I commend them for that. But we're not trained in water rescue. And I've had people say, why don't you get jet skis? Why don't you do this and that? And I'm happy to take on water rescue if y'all want to fund it. But, you know, it's like jet skis and people trained to do that kind of stuff is quite expensive. And, you know, my thing is if we can just keep them out of the water, then we won't have to rescue them. But they're still going to go in the water. I mean, this morning on the news, Bay County had 30 water rescues last weekend. And they have lifeguards, they have beach deputies, and people still went in the water. So it's probably going to be an issue that we're going to deal with. And, you know, the more we have, the better we're able to rescue someone. You know, thank goodness Jerry down at the Blue Parrot got the jet ski and came out. That's the only reason this guy that Brian Smith initially went in the water to get, that's the only reason he was saved, because he had drifted so far out, nobody could reach him. And Dan Fortunas, who's an excellent swimmer, couldn't reach him. Nobody could reach him. So the jet ski picked him up. So again, those are some critical pieces of equipment that could be beneficial if down the line that conversation y'all want to have that about doing something else that might save people if they do get in the water, because they are going to continue to get in the water. They drive 10 hours, rent a house for thousands of dollars. They're going to go get in the water.
Yes, sir.
Right.
And we'll just continue to, you know, we'll educate them from our standpoint. And I think if the folks that manage the property, you know, we're going to have a conversation with them. Maybe there's some way we can help, like Commissioner was talking about, putting more information out, that maybe they will think twice about it.
Mr. Chairman, I just was thinking, and perhaps we're having this conversation, should we be considering some interpretive signage that can be installed, particularly at the public beach access areas that relate to the flag system and what that would be? And perhaps a reminder on that sign that it was on behalf of a memorial for Brian Stephen Smith that this sign was put there. Would that be appropriate to consider? And maybe there's 2 or 3 signs that could be built this way and placed at beach access positions.
I think that's a good idea because you got different people come.
Mr. Chairman, I think that's exactly what Commissioner Jones was just talking about. TDC coming up with some different signage, better signage to better educate the people at all the different beach access as you're talking, Commissioner Bolts. I think that's already in the works.
Okay.
Along with the app, the phone app that the TDC's coming up with.
Mm-hmm.
If the visitors download this app, they could be at home and see what the flag system is saying, or they could be at the beach house and do the phone app, and they'll know exactly what the flag warning system is telling them for today, and if it changes. And there's a couple other things that goes on that app that Commissioner Jones is talking about, and that's moving forward as we speak.
Okay.
It is. If I could speak for Commissioner Jones, and he could add more information. There are 2 things he told me yesterday they're working on. One is a phone app that everybody will have, every tourist could download, and it'll give them more information, flags, everything else. The second thing is kind of related to what you're saying, Commissioner Bolt, is what they call the QR code. You know, certain things, you put this little code, if you scan it, it opens up your phone to a website. Well, Commissioner Jones wants to put that at every beach access site. So all they have to do is, as they walk by for beach flag information and other information relating to beaches, they scan a QR code and it'll tell them, it'll open up their phones to exactly what the flag is saying that particular day. So Commissioner Jones and TDC, they're working a lot in the background. Over the last week and a half, the things they've done so far is remarkable. And one more thing. So Courtney, being smarter than me, told me she already, before today, she's already researched that. DAP told them that the grant could pay, and there are electronic flag systems that we could pay for. So I'll have her continue her research of that. And that's why she stuck her head in the door telling me, I already done that. So yeah, that's, so we'll continue working on that.
I figured it should have been something.
Yeah.
Technology.
All right.
Anything?
I'm good. No, thank you. Appreciate
I'd
it.
like to make a motion that we adopt.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, since we were adopting this as an emergency ordinance and we're not following the usual 10-day notice before we have a public hearing, the motion would need to read that the Franklin County, based on the totality of the evidence that you've received here today, that you are declaring that an emergency exists and that the immediate enactment of this ordinance is necessary, and that you are waiving the usual notice requirements of section 125.66 subsection 2 of the Florida statutes. And I also need some direction. Does the board want me to include the exception for the surfboards as well?
Pleasure to move.
I'll make the motion that we adopt this as an emergency ordinance as stated by the county attorney, and also include the exception for the surfers.
Okay.
That would
Second.
be my motion.
I got a motion on the floor by Commissioner Parrish. I need a second.
Commissioner Jones, second.
Second.
Mr. Jones seconded.
Yeah.
Oh, he did?
Yep.
I couldn't hear you, I'm sorry. Second by Commissioner Jones. Any more discussion?
I have one last thing, Commissioners. One of the things that we're also going to implement, if there is a double red flag day, then we're going to assign a deputy full-time to the beach until it is no longer a double red flag day. So with the ordinance, that gives us some teeth to do something, but that's one of the things we're going to do. So when we know it, because we don't have that many double red flag days. So when we do, we'll just have a deputy there. Since a lot of them have four-wheel drive trucks, and we can just patrol that 5-mile section of beach and let people know they can't be in the water, and I think that will be a huge deterrent as well. So,
I mean, it's just like this. If you got a storm in the Gulf of Mexico, ain't nobody got no business in that water.
correct.
I mean, that don't make sense.
All right. Well, thank y'all very much. Have a great rest of your
All
week.
in favor? All opposed? That pass unanimous. Thank you, Shay.
Okay, thank you.
Got no business. Okay, next on the agenda will be public comments. We got any? All right.
Have to honor, now bear with me a little bit here because we're using Zoom today, so I'm not sure if everybody is aware as to how to use the raise hand Zoom. So I'll go through the list and see if everybody have any public comments, if you're okay with that.
Go ahead.
All right. So, all right.
I want to see how it works because I'm not too sharp on that electronics.
You would be close. Let's see here. Someone just joined, so I'll with them. Stop this mic. Cut it out a bit. Okay, so Ms. Holton, Ms. Holton, I'm going to unmute you and ask you if you have any public comments. If you do, please state your name for the record, and you have 3 minutes to address the board. If not, just say you have no public comments, and I'll go back to muting you. And let me say this mic is terrible. So let me say this. So we have some public hearings this afternoon, and we have time dedicated for public comments for those public hearings. This is, I'm not saying you cannot comment, but this is usually reserved for people that have an other agenda item or non-agenda item that wants to comment, okay? So that's what we use it for. And you guys bear with me because this mic isn't working like I thought it. It's just cutting out for some reason. And I just can't see that far, I apologize. Okay, Ms. Holton. Hey, Ms.
Go ahead, I'm
Holton.
sorry.
Yeah, do you have a public comment, ma'am?
No, other than I would like to say that with
Well, I
regards
need-
to the rezoning.
Ma'am, before you begin, I need you to state your name for the record, and
Oh, I'm sorry.
go ahead.
My name is Amber Holton. I am a resident of Carabel.
Okay, go ahead, ma'am.
I would just like to say that this is in regards to the rezoning of residential property on Highway 67 and rezoning it from residential to commercial. I did submit an email a few days ago that I sent out copies to all commissioners with regards to some concerns that the local residents who live in this area have on the rezoning proposal of that property, and what negative effects it could have to our community. If you had time to review the email, you will see that it's quite lengthy. So I'm not sure that I need to go into all those points again. But if you would just take into consideration that the residents who live in this area, there are some of us that are strongly opposed to this rezoning.
All right, ma'am, thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
All right, Ms. Beverly Sapp, I don't know if you could comment now. I know you're part of the public hearing this afternoon. Would you like to comment now, ma'am, or wait until this afternoon? Wait, I'm sorry, till later this morning. Okay, she just has not on mute. So I'm going to move on to Jessica Hawley. I'm sorry, Ms. Sapp,
Yes, sir.
would you like to comment now?
Yes, sir. I would just like to go ahead and let all the people that are waiting for that that part of the agenda to come up. We've decided to table that for now. We've submitted a letter, an email to Miss Amy Kelly, and let her know that we're going to table this matter for right now, and so we won't be on that agenda for today.
Okay, Ms. Sapp, thank you so much.
Yes, sir.
Next is Ms. Jessica Hawley. Ms. Hawley, do you have any comments this morning?
Actually, no, sir. This is Jessica Hawley with Representative Shoaf's office. I was just tuning into the meeting today. I don't have any specific comments.
All right, thank you so much, ma'am. Mr. John Berry. Requested from you. Do you have any comments this morning, sir?
No, I have no comment. I'm just observing.
Okay, all right, no problem. Ms. Ruby Litton. All right, I'm going to unmute 653-5191, 653-9191, sorry, 653-5191. Do you have any comments? All right, none heard, I'll move on. I'm going to unmute 899-5252. Do you have any comments? You're unmuted. All right, so no, Commissioner, that's it. No one else, there's no one else on the list.
There's no more public comment? Public comment?
If I may, Commissioners, since there's no more public comments, if you would, Mr. Pierce is scheduled to later on the agenda, but he had an appointment, so he'd like to go, if you guys don't mind, give his report now. He's on the phone now.
That'll be fine.
David Covington? I don't. Oh, he sure does.
He was showing up on the video board at the top.
Okay, Mr. Covington, I apologize. You know how to raise your hand. That's a good job. I'm going to unmute you before we go to Mr. Pierce. Mr. Covington, you're unmuted. Mr. Covington?
Michael, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Go ahead, sir.
Thank you, Michael. I appreciate it. Commissioners, good morning. My name is David Covington. I'm over on St. George Island. I want to start just a couple of comments, and I'll try to be really quick and brief with you that I just want to point out to you for your consideration. I want to say that I'm sorry for the loss of both the families, for both the fire victims as well as for Brian Smith over on the island. Also to remember that we also lost another previous person, a visitor earlier this year on the island. We also lost a person over in Gulf County this year, and also we lost a person that was involved in a visiting sheriff's office over in Fort Walton Beach this year, who was a director of search and recovery for that sheriff's department while he was on vacation with his family. So we need to be reminded that these waters all along the Gulf are very treacherous, and visitors, need to know that. Our key as a county to visitors and guests to our area needs to be more communication and more education. And that's going to take time to develop, just like with the Leave No Trace ordinance, where it took us, several years to get people in the mode of what to do and to make them aware of the situation about, leaving stuff on the beach and taking their stuff off at night. We need to really stress and put the resources into the communication and education part. We talked about having phones in the rental homes. Well, what happens when you have some VRBO houses that don't have phones? Now, I know that that's part of, the Florida Department of Professional Business Regulations stuff, where they or, you know, they tell you that you have to have phones in the house for emergency purposes, but you need to remember that not all houses have phones, and some people, while they're on vacation, don't answer the phone in rental houses thinking that it could be telemarketers. You know, there have been some communication comments on using robocalls from the rental houses. Well, just like with the VRBO stuff, if you don't have a rental company that's doing that, how are they going to make a robocall to that house? Robocalls are a good answer, but it doesn't cover all the rental houses on the island. The rental agencies, you know, do cover a majority, but not, you know, not everything. When we're talking about these placing of beach flags, I am the admin. I'm one of the admin in the Facebook group that's got 37,000 folks in it. And there's been a lot of talk about placing these flags at every one of the public beach access points, which, you know, I think is with us, with the resources we've got, it's already strained. I'm not sure that that's realistic. I do agree that we need to have more strategic locations, like going into the East End and going into the Plantation, you know, because that after Bruce Maynard passed away several years ago, you know, that's what came up. Is if you're staying in the Plantation or you're staying out in the East End, I don't want to have to drive up to the middle of the island to be able to see what the beach flag color is. That's when we came up with the online stuff for the Franklin County site, which gets its, the push notification of the widget stuff actually comes from NOAA and the National Weather Service. And there was some communication earlier with AJ about how often does that happen. I can tell you since Bruce Maynard passed away, I've been watching this thing constantly to put updates in the Facebook group to try to warn people of our visitors of what the beach flag colors are. And I will tell you that thing does change a lot. And our guys that are on the beach at the ground level, that are on the boots on the ground, may not get those flags changed sometimes 2 or 3 times a day. And I have seen it change 3 times a day.
Thank you, Mr. Covington. Thank you so much for your comments, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, Commissioner, so with no more hands raised, I'll double check one more time. And where we got to, I'm going to go to Mr. Pierce, if you do not mind. And Alan, you're unmuted, so you can go ahead. Before you start, Alan, there's probably a little icon on your iPad or your phone that tells you you're unmuted. Go ahead. Okay. Well, let's move on and we'll get back to Alan when he figures out what's going on. Commissioners. Well, no, he's part of the Zoom system. Oh. Yeah, I can't do it that way. I guess I'll have to call him and put him next to the microphone is what I'll do. Okay, we can go ahead with the agenda until I figure out how.
Next on the agenda will be Department Director Report, Superintendent of Public Works, Mr. Howard Neal.
Good morning, Commissioner. How y'all doing?
Good morning.
Just got a couple items on the grass cutting. It's growed up bad in places, but we, doing the best we could do, especially with all the rain that we get. And you cut it this week, next week it's back knee high. So we're gonna get it. So, and another one is a lot of rain in the last couple of weeks. We got some places 12, 13 inches rain, 10 inches rain. Which everything's rained off pretty good. We had a couple places in Appalachia that people complained about, but in a couple of days it was run off. I mean, it was dry. So, and the pipes only carry so much water when you get that much rain. The main place is St. George Island. We got 4 or 5 complaints on it, which has been that way for years, and there's just no drainage. I mean, the water's landlocked. It builds up so high that it runs down the road and runs into other people's yards. So I know we've talked about it before, or something about trying to get some kind of grant for storm drain. So.
Well, we're working on something right now.
Yes, I'll address later in the meeting, Howard, and I'll talk.
Okay.
Give you a call later.
Okay.
There was North Florida Water Management District. They advertised a grant, and
Okay.
Clay was able, from Dewberry, was able to send in an application that will do it, that may fund an engineering study for that whole area and the flooding and how it affects the airport. Okay, So, but as soon as I know more, I'll give you a call, Howard.
Okay.
We'll talk about it then.
But he was talking about St. George.
Yeah, St. George
Oh,
Island, what
I'm
I'm
so
talking
sorry.
about.
I thought we were talking about Southland and Peach. I'm sorry.
Well, Appalachia too now, that, Mr. Mathis.
Yes,
I know he was
that's-
wanting to complain, but.
that's what I was talking about,
But
that
but
entire
about 2
area.
days, that water, they was cutting the grass, and the water had run off.
In a couple of days?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
But them pipes only pull so much water, so.
Yeah. 10 inches of rain?
We had a lot of rain
And
last
in
couple
2
of
days?
weeks.
That's not too bad then.
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to comment on that. As Buster was talking about out there at Peachtree, and there is a problem there, and as Michael stated, Clay has put in for a grant, and if we get that, it's for an engineering study. I think it's $1 million grant, maybe a little more, to do a comprehensive look at the drainage out there. And as he was talking, 10 inches of rain, there was not only water in Mr. Mathis's yard, there was water in other people's yards also. But as he said, we were featured, if anyone's seen it, on Channel 13 Monday night. I rode by Mr. Mathis's house on Tuesday, and there wasn't a drop of water in the yard. When it's that much water, it takes a while for it to drain. It just does. 10 inches of rain within a 12, 14-hour period is a lot of rain. They were also highlighting a place over in Panama City Beach, and they received 5 inches of rain. And they were talking about how, they were having issues with their drainage. Well, we didn't get 5, we got 10. So it just takes a little while, and maybe we can get this grant and do a comprehensive engineering study to see what steps we can take to alleviate some of that, and not exacerbate the problem by doing something that's gonna cause a lot more problems down the road. You really have to have an engineer really look at this and do a full study, and I'm hopeful that we get this grant to be able to do that.
Try to do something to help them. But I know my yard, my yard's pretty dry, and it was ankle deep for 2 days, 80% of it. But in a couple of days, it run off and dried up. So if you get a lot of rain like that, you're gonna have flooding. So, and we had some places in East Point, which a lot of people put stuff in the ditches, and it runs up in the cupboard. So there you are, something up in that pipe and waist deep water, trying to unstop it. But we got most of them unstopped. What was stopped up, everything run off fairly good. So. Alligator Point, which I think all it fared pretty good.
How about that area at Ball Point where there's water coming into the wetlands?
It busted loose.
Did it?
Yes,
Good.
sir.
Good.
Yeah. So
That was
Good.
once again, it was a storm in the Gulf.
yes, sir.
We got rain, what we don't normally get. Don't have them every day. I mean, you don't have them, when you get storms like that, you get excess water. And it took time for it to come in here. It take time for it to go out.
And when you
It
get,
just ain't- it ain't gonna run out just like that.
And when you
It
get
got to
them-
run out with the tide and everything else.
exactly.
Right.
And when you get them high tides, like you say, and storm surge pushed in, the water may fall slowly, but once that tide falls, then it pulls the water on out.
Right.
Exactly right. So, that's all I got, Commissioner.
That's all you got?
That's it.
Anybody got anything else for Mr. Howard?
Just thank you, Howard, you're doing a good job, bud.
Thank y'all.
Keep up the good work.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman, before we move on to Fonda, if I may, I got Alan on the phone, old school style, and he'd like to go to his report, which starts on page 6. All right, Alan, go ahead.
Okay, thank you, Michael. I apologize for the technology gap, but I turned 65 this month, and it may just be beginning of the gap. We don't know yet. But anyway, I won't read the items, commissioners, that are written there. I will say item number 1, I wrote in conjunction with Pam Brownell. She and I spoke yesterday about the acquisition process, and so when she gets on the line, she may have more information and a better description about some of the risks associated with acquiring property in Alligator Point. But I do ask we move forward to the fire department property because I think that's in their best interest and our best interest to help them move the Alligator Point Fire Department to a better location. And they have been waiting patiently for us to buy their property. So I would ask that the motion be that we move them to the first priority in acquisition. And then Pam has some other projects she wants to spend money on instead of continuing to buy property in Alligator Point. I know this is a change in position for me, but after conferring with her and looking at the risks, the parcels that we would be buying are isolated and don't represent a aggregate accumulation of land that we could do anything with. And right now, the intermediate staff level opinion from FEMA is that we couldn't do anything with the property anyway. Now, there's possibly we get that intermediate staff level opinion changed, but right now, if we bought property in Alligator Point, it would have to stay vacant, which means we'd be responsible for maintaining it, and we might be creating a problem for the neighborhood if we don't properly maintain it, weed control or whatever else may be happening on vacant property. So for those reasons, we're probably best off not acquiring the other property and letting the marketplace resolve the value of that property and just go ahead and acquire the Alligator Point property. So that's my item on number one. And Michael, I'll defer whether you want to vote independently or just let me finish talking.
Well, I'll say they're separate items, so they probably need to vote on item number one.
So I'd like to move that we take board action to prioritize the acquisition of the Alligator Point Volunteer Fire Department existing building as a top priority.
I got a motion on the floor by Commissioner Burt.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Massey. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That passed unanimous.
All right, that passed.
Thank you.
Okay, I appreciate that. And again, Pam Barnell may have more information on what else she's doing on the hazard mitigation funding, because she and I spoke yesterday, and she has two other projects, so she can describe that when she gets up. The next item is I would recommend that Ms. Courtney Bankston, become the restore coordinator. She's done a great job as an interface between myself and Lang Consulting. Lang Consulting is really the brain power, I have to admit, for what is going on in Restore and their connection with Treasury. But somebody at the county level has to be able to write letters and sign documents on behalf of the county that gets submitted to Treasury. Langton Consulting cannot do that. Usually Treasury wants documents coming from the county, and with me being out of the office as I am, it's just difficult to get these documents signed. So I recommend that Ms. Bankston be appointed Restore coordinator, and there's a letter that the chairman will need to sign based on board action to do that. I still would be a board consultant, assuming you all want me to, on Alligator Point issues and other things, specifically like Triumph that are coming up. But I think at this time it's best for Restore to move to Ms. Bankston so that there's not going to be a gap in documents being generated and activities being done, because she's in the office every day and I'm not. So that's my request on item number 2.
So moved.
Second.
I got a motion on the floor by Commissioner Parrish, second by
Commissioner Jones?
Commissioner Jones. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That passed unanimous.
Sorry, I appreciate that. Then I actually have 2 more items, and they're both information. The next one is that Mr. John Collins is working on a grant application with the Water Management District for $1.5 million to go to the $1 million we already have with the DOT for airport stormwater improvements. Concurrent with that, Mr. Clay Kennedy, and this is on Michael Marone's report, Mr. Clay Kennedy is also working on some stormwater applications for property that will be around the airport. So there'll be a benefit. We're trying to get money for improvements on the airport, and Mr. Kennedy is working on a project that will help the drainage around the airport. So I just mentioned that to you, that if we find that our pre-applications are of interest to the Water Management District, then there'll be a formal application made, and at that time the board will be, we'll give you all more information. You can decide if you want to move forward. But right now they were just pre-applications, and the Water Management District will probably take about 60 days to review all the pre-applications from the district and then decide which ones they want to fund. But I just want to inform the board that since it happened in the last minute, I told Mr. Collins to go ahead with the one for the for the airport, and I think Mr. Marone has told Clay Kennedy the same thing on the ones he was applying for.
That's correct.
And then the last thing is I am in communication with Susan Skelton on Triumph. In fact, I'm going to have a conference with her this afternoon. We hope to be on the agenda for the Triumph board approval in September on our airport grant. And I know Michael Schuh was there in the meeting. Michael, the board, and this is for the board also, the Triumph board staff has sort of dropped back to looking at a one-to-one match with our existing FDOT grant that's already under construction, using that as the match and dropping back from all these other things that are in the future. So hopefully we have a way forward to get this thing approved. I have to write a revised letter to Triumph that I'm going to work on this afternoon with Susan Skelton. And assuming that's done, then hopefully on the September 24th Triumph meeting, there'll be an agenda item for our airport project finally. And that's all the items I have, unless there are any questions.
That's good. I want you to keep up the good work. And for those, for the
I
people,
appreciate it, Michael. I'm going to drop off then.
But hold on, I think the chairman was talking to me for one quick second. I'll move the phone.
no,
please.
I was letting the people out there in the area by the airport, let them know that we working on the problem. It's gonna take time. It's not gonna happen overnight, but it's gonna take time.
Yes, sir. And I will say, running the airport, there is economic developments out there that we're working on with some of the board knows it. Now, hopefully, I'll have some information at the next meeting or so that hopefully, but we're working on some other opportunities out there.
Yeah. Now, I was talking about that runoff water.
Oh, yeah.
At that time. Letting them know, just letting them know we well, and we're working on it.
Yes, sir.
All right. And Alan, before you drop off, just so the board knows what Mr. Pierce was talking about on the one-to-one match, we were only going to be putting up locally $25,000 of our local money for the airport project. The rest of the money was coming from FDOT. And the concern that I had and Alan had was that Triumph always has this clawback provision. So if we're only putting in $25,000 and we were expecting several $1 million from FDOT, and FDOT didn't come back and fund that, then they potentially, that Triumph can come back to the county and try and claw back millions of dollars from the county. When we're telling them up front, we don't have the money, we're relying on FDOT. So that's why things had to step back and be re-examined. And I guess, Alan, you said that's happening in September?
Yes,
Okay.
we hope.
Anyway, I just want to make sure that's a little bit clearer on the record.
Yeah, so Michael, exactly right. So what the Triumph Board now is saying, the clawback would be the grant that's already under completion. And I'll be honest, probably by the end of October, the grant will be completed. So all the FDOT funds will have already been spent. So I don't really think there's risk of a clawback from FDOT because we have already finished the project and closed it out in accordance with FDOT standards. And all the other future projects, Michael, they're not putting as part of the grant agreement.
Right. That was the amendment that we were asking them to make, and it sounds like they are going to make it because we don't have any control over future FDOT funding. So we're very thankful for Susan Skelton for helping us.
Correct.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. I think we do.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Alan. All right. Yeah, bye.
Keep up the good work, Mr. Allen Howard. Next on the agenda will be Mr. Fonda Davis. And he's with the solid waste. Got plenty of towers.
Good morning, board. I don't have anything this morning.
Hey, good.
Okay. Anybody got anything for Mr. Davis?
Appreciate everything you're doing for me, Fonda.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
I took a stack of the Amnesty Day cards that you had distributed earlier in the year.
Right.
Oh, about 100 of them. And I took them to the Carabel Library just so that public could take more cards.
Great, thank you.
Yeah.
Need more?
Yes,
Okay,
please.
get them to you.
Keep up the good work, sir.
All right, appreciate it.
You stole my line.
Next on the agenda will be the emergency management.
And Pam sent me a message earlier this morning. They're working on a grant. They're trying to close out a grant, so she had no action items. So if any of the commissioners have questions, they give her a call directly.
Anybody, well, y'all, if you got any questions, just get on the phone. Okay, next on the agenda will be Extension Office Director.
Eric Lovestrand, County Extension Director. I do not have anything for you this morning, Commissioners.
Or anybody got anything for Mr. Eric?
Thank you, Mr. Eric, for your work.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Keep up the good work.
Thank you.
Next on the agenda be the library.
No, yeah, I'm looking a little puzzled around the room. I'm hoping she's not on the line anywhere, and I didn't know she was calling in, but I will contact her. If she needs to present her report, we'll do it a little later, Commissioners.
Okay. Well, we got, well, next on the agenda, we got some bid opening. Is it time or
There was no time set
No
up
time
on
limit?
these. Yes, correct. And these are actually quotes or qualifications, I believe, RFQs, if I'm not mistaken. And as I explained there on the agenda, they're for the CEI services, for the construction engineering inspection services, for the multi-use trail and bike path, County Road 370, also known as Alligator Drive. So all I actually need to do is, I mean, I can open it if you like, it's just to list the names of the ones that were turned in. I could look for an address if you'd like and put that on the record. And then it's
Yeah, we need it.
forwarded to the review committee, which will be myself, Howard, and Lauren from the finance office. That's the outside review committee that we use for these type of projects.
Okay, but open them so that be on record.
Okay, then we
won't
open
have
them.
nothing.
So the first one looks like, and I can read from the outside, we'll verify on the inside, it's VIA Consulting Services Incorporated. They have a Jacksonville, Florida address. Just unwrap the pretty brown paper. Then I'll unwrap the pretty box. And that's correct. VIA Services, Construction Engineering Inspection Services. Again, a Jacksonville, Florida address.
VIA?
V as in Victor, VIA.
Okay.
Do you want to tell us the amount they bid?
There's no amount, sir. This is for qualifications.
I see,
So they're building to, I'm sorry, their quote is to provide the construction, engineering, and inspection services.
I see.
So,
Okay.
yeah, so what you do, the committee reviews them, scores them, and then they rank them, and then from there we go, okay? The next is DRMP. They're out of Tallahassee, Florida.
Say that again, B or D?
D as in David,
D.
R, M as in Michael, P as in Peter.
Okay. DRM.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Yep, there they are.
Okay.
All right. Quite a few here, this is pretty good. I like when we have a lot. On the outside, it looks like a company called EXP, but let's verify that. Yeah, everybody has initials today, Commissioner.
They the expert, man.
Yes, sir. I'll have to look a little further to find an address for them. Where they're from. Well, it's odd, their letterhead doesn't say anywhere. EXP Services, but again, I'll have to research that for you, Commissioners, at some later time. They're from Tallahassee? Did I miss that? Thank you, Lori. Oh, I'm sorry, it was right there in small writing, I'm sorry. Tallahassee, Lori's correct. EXP from Tallahassee, Florida. Southeastern Consulting Engineers. And they're from Weewalk. Yep, Southeastern, like I said, so Southeastern Consulting Engineers, they're working also with Alday Howell Engineering from Mariana. That's their proposal. This one is AECOM, AECOM. They're out of Tampa, Florida. Courtney Campbell Causeway. AECOM, and Commissioners, this is their proposal. So with that, I'll need a motion from the board to send it to the review committee, as I stated, myself, Howard, and Lauren from over in the finance office.
So moved.
Second.
I got a motion on the floor by Commissioner Massey, second by Commissioner Burt. Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That passed unanimously.
And Commissioners, if we could put a pause, I have to go figure out Mr. Krell's number to see where he's calling from. Could we skip over and go to Tracy Busby, your CARES Act consultant, and we'll come back? She's on the line, that I know for sure.
Okay, let's,
I'll unmute
how
her.
about we take 5 and then do that?
Okay, either which way.
Yeah. Commission, the Boulder County Commissioners will be breaking.
Flash Franklin County, it's census time. Everyone's counted. I'm Linda Gibson, and I count.
Although our senior centers and libraries are closed temporarily because of COVID-19, Linda Gibson and her friends want to make sure everyone in Franklin County responds to the census.
Everyone count. Please be counted. My name is Gladys Gatlin.
If you or someone you know has a tablet or laptop, now you can go to my2020census.gov and put in your street address to be able to complete the census. It's now easier than ever. That's my2020census.gov.
Everyone counts. So everyone in Franklin County, please do the census. My name is Sherlyn Clark, and I count.
James Bay Golf Resort is an award-winning Audubon Sanctuary golf course located off Highway 98 just east of Carabel. It is one of less than 60 Audubon golf courses in the world. St. James Bay Golf Resort was designed by Robert W. Walker in conjunction with Audubon International and features 14 lakes, well-manicured tee boxes and fairways, and extraordinary Tiff Eagle Bermuda greens. Club memberships are available to suit every need, but the course is also open to the public. Guests staying at our resort have access to all amenities like the heated pool, tennis courts, and workout facilities. Plus, they will receive a 10% discount in the pro shop, restaurant, and lodging. There is a daily happy hour at the Crooked River Grill from 2 to 7 with drink and appetizer specials. The Crooked River Grill features the best in Southern coastal comfort cuisine with an amazing brunch buffet every Sunday from 10 until 2 and lunch buffets every Tuesday and Thursday. There's also a prime rib special every Saturday night and weekly games like bingo and trivia on Tuesday and Thursday nights. Host your party on the beautiful patio and let us take care of everything. Our venue at St. James offers a perfect meeting space for groups as well as a banquet place for wedding events. We also have beautifully appointed spacious luxury condos available for long-term or short-term rentals. All of the units overlook the golf course and have a private pool. For more information and tee times, visit stjamesbay.com. Give us a call at 850-697-9606 or like us on Facebook.
Come inside and check us out. We have something for everyone. Hello, welcome to Apalachicola Chocolate and Coffee Company. From our handmade chocolates, fudges, delicious old-fashioned caramel, pies, cookies, including the largest Greek wedding and macaroons you've ever seen. We also make the Italian-style ice cream called gelato, which is adult tested and kid approved. We have a full menu coffee bar, from lattes and cappuccinos to some of our signature drinks, such as our affogatos and black bottom coffees. And don't forget about the famous crafted coffee blend. We also roast our coffee beans on site, so it's super fresh. Don't like coffee? We also have teas and lemonade. If you're hungry, we serve breakfast sandwiches on our homemade bread, or we have New York water bagels. Or try the biscuits and gravy that are to die for. We also have lunch sandwiches and soups. We do carry some gluten-free and vegan options as well. Hear what some locals have to say.
I love the biscuits and gravy.
You know something? The coffee here is great.
I love the ice cream of the chocolate company.
So come check us out and stay a while. In here, it's just like Cheers, where everybody knows your name. Oh, hey, Dan.
Our beautiful piece of paradise. Please make sure you visit our local shops, restaurants, galleries, and take some time to experience something different and take a fishing trip or tour with one of our experienced guides. Our neighbors and their businesses are the heartbeat of our community. Thank you for visiting, and remember to shop local, eat local, and fish local. This message is brought to you by the Apalachicola Bay Chamber of Commerce. Tune in to Forgotten Coast TV on Mediacom, Roku, and Amazon Fire TV, and watch Forgotten Coast Cooking with Kathy Corfanti. Kathy invites you into her home to learn how to cook some of her favorite recipes. She will also tell you funny stories about her life and preparing meals. You'll also see special guest appearances by her friends and local chefs. It's Forgotten Coast Cooking with Kathy Corfanti only on Forgotten Coast TV. Fisherman's Choice Bait and Tackle has all you need for your day of fishing. They have fresh and saltwater bait, an unmatched selection of mirror lures, and a wide selection of Berkeley Gulp, plus fresh and live bait and all the rigs and tackle you need for a great day of fishing, including brands like Penn and Shimano. They are also the only bait and tackle shop in Franklin County where you can get a fishing license. And don't miss their wide selection of marine supplies, coolers, and more. Fisherman's Choice is located at 330 Highway 98 in East Point.
Hi, I'm Sam Fortunis, owner of Island Fit Sets. Be sure to come see me on my paddle porch located across the street from the Blue Parrot. And be sure to watch my show, Stand Up with Sam, on Forgotten Coast TV. Come check out the Island Fit paddle porch on St. George Island, located across from the SGI Lighthouse and behind the Blue Parrot restaurant. Just steps away from the beach, you can rent a stand-up paddleboard and be on the water in no time. Come sign up for your private or family stand-up paddleboard lesson, paddleboard yoga, fitness, or SPP fishing excursion. We now offer bay, charter, fishing, and shelling trips as well. Be sure to drop in Tuesday, Thursday, or Saturday at 9 a.m. for one of Island Fit's beach yoga classes, or come by and see me or check it out online at www.islandfitsup.com.
Mike, you there? Hey, Mike, you need to unmute. Are you there? Hey, Mike, you need to unmute on your end. All right, Commissioner, see, we have a problem with Mike on getting him to unmute on his end. I'll have Courtney work on it in the back room. And we are basically minutes away from the public hearings, so we'll have to put Tracy on hold for a second. Let's get to the public hearings, because those, we need to start at 10:30. And if I may, Attorney Schuler, officially it's like 10, let me see. Okay, I think, no, 10:28.
Got 2 minutes.
Yeah, and I just, for some reason, I don't know why we can't get Mike to get his phone unmuted. That's
Just want to sit out these 2 minutes or
what we're trying to do here, if I could. If I could update the board, though, on the public hearings while we wait for the 2 minutes before we officially start. So if you notice, you basically have you have 5 public hearings. The first one is on page 5, is where I'm at, is where we start with O, and that's what we'll start with at 10:30. Further down the list, you had 4 others. They were a land use change and a rezoning change for 6.08 acre parcel. And then further down than that, you had a 10-acre parcel, also a land use change and a rezoning change. So, if you excuse me, Commissioners, you remember earlier, Ms. Beverly Sapp was on the line under public comments, and she said that she had asked this board to consider tabling this item until November 17th, and I added time certain so that we could make sure it's as we should to avoid any re-advertising. It's to a specific date and it's time certain. So once we get past the first public hearing and we address those others, I would recommend, unless the attorney differs with me, that we decide on a motion on tabling the items first, so that we don't have to have public comments today, and then the same public comments again in November when we actually reschedule the meeting for. So that's what we'll be asking you when we get to that. And Attorney Schuler, just pull the mic closer.
Yeah, you're exactly correct, Mr. Morone. I was informed yesterday that the applicant had asked to table the matter, so you should take up the tabling request first. And of course, your options are either to table or not table and proceed with the hearing. That's at the board's discretion.
Okay, Mike, it's 10:30 now. We can, I guess, go to the public hearing, Ms. Amy.
There you go. I'm just kind of put that here. Sorry.
Okay.
And that is, we're at item O, Commissioners, on page 5.
Okay, Ms. Amy gonna handle it, you?
No, she will, sir.
Okay. Good morning, Ms. Amy.
Good morning.
It's, you got it.
Okay. Good morning.
Good morning.
The Franklin County Board of County Commissioners proposed to adopt the following ordinance, an ordinance changing the zoning on the following parcel of land in Franklin County. Reserve lot west of Lot 16, Block Z, Lanark Beach,
Unit 1, Lanark, Franklin County, Florida, lying in Section 14, Township 7 South, Range 4 West, Lanark, Franklin County, Florida, as shown on the attached map, to be changed from C4 mixed-use residential to C3 commercial recreation. Request submitted by Garlic Environmental Associates, agent for Team Golson, applicant.
Pleasure to vote.
Well,
I mean, we got, this is
public
public, this is
public
public
com-
here.
Yes, sir.
Oh, okay. Public comment?
So what I'm going to do now, Commissioners, is check the list and see if anybody's interested in commenting. And I have to walk away from the mic, I apologize.
Right.
Let's see. Garlic Environmental is representing this project.
Yes, I'll bring him up, I'll bring him up.
So this is the public hearing. It's time, now the time, if any of the public got something to say, it's that time now.
Yep. And I've unmuted Mr. John Berry because I'm not sure what he was speaking for, and Mr. Garlic should be unmuted too in case there's any questions that he needs to respond to.
And I will let you know, I've received no objection letters, anyone objecting this project from this time.
Is this property immediately adjoining the existing Ho-Hum RV park?
No, sir. There's 3 lots, lots 14, 15, and 16 that's owned by Kimberly Roddenberry, and then there's Ho-Hum RV Park.
I see.
Well, Mr. Berry's unmuted. He has no comments, and
What about me?
Mr. Garlic, I'm checking the list. Anybody else?
Public comments?
Is Dan unmuted?
Yeah, I'm waiting for him to unmute.
Okay.
He needs to hit star, I think it's star 6. For your phone prompt tells you that you're being unmuted, so. That's it, Commissioner. And then Mr. Berry, he muted himself again, so, that's it.
Amy, is this, Mr. Chairman?
Go ahead.
Is this just one lot?
It's the reserved lot west of Lot 16, so it's not, it's a part of, it's like a reserved lot for Lanark Beach.
Well, I've never heard of a reserve lot. What does that refer to, a reserve lot? What, I mean,
To be honest with you, I'm not sure what,
I noticed in the application it says acreage NA not available. So is there acreage there? Is it just one lot? Or
it's considered a
I know you
lot,
say
a reserved lot.
but Is it 100 by 100? I mean,
I'd have to look at the, let's see.
the application just says NA, so I don't know what, you know, or whether that's even relevant. I don't know.
That one got me too, I ain't know.
Do we have any idea what the applicant is proposing to build there or use?
It's an RV park.
RV park?
So is he gonna be on public water and sewer?
Water and sewer
Okay.
is available in that area.
And I guess the rest of it is determined by the health department as to how many units he can have, so that's out of our purview.
Yeah.
Yes.
The health department regulates how many units you can place on a lot. That's regulated by water and sewer and by well and septic.
So the picture is there's Ho-Hum, then 3 lots, and then the project that we're considering.
I don't have a specific lot size.
I'm sorry. I didn't see it
And
in
I
the
apologize, but it's considered the reserve lot, so it's like another lot. I don't have a size on it, I apologize.
It can't be real big because there's houses here and ho-hums here. There ain't much in there.
It's very narrow, isn't it?
Yeah, it's very narrow right in there. It can't be much.
And that's what the deed calls it. There's not a,
Reserve lot west. 16 lots.
Dan, Courtney has Dan in there. She's going to unmute in a second and get him in because he does have a couple comments. He might be able to address your question.
it's, on the application, it says 1 acre more or less. So it's probably a little less than an acre.
That's Courtney and Dan. Go ahead, Dan.
Okay, I heard a couple of different questions. The reserve lot, basically it's not platted, it's a lot of record, and it's basically done by mates and bounds. And so we actually did a survey of this. It was done by Thurman Roddenberry, who is the owner of this property to the east. The survey was done very currently, like about 6 months ago, about when we first got on board with the request for public hearing. And so you've got your boundaries. Your boundaries are like 145 by about 300 feet. And we got plenty of room off of Highway 98. And what we're proposing in here basically is to construct a 9-unit RV unit. That's what we like to do, and I know that's just a concept, but I think Commissioner Bolt mentioned, what are we going to do with this thing? And basically, that's what we'd like to do is 9 units with an office building on here. C4 allows you for probably more density in this, but the owner of the property was more interested in going this route, mainly because it's useful in the area. Ho-Hum apparently has been really filled up for quite a bit. I had a chat with the new owners over there. They don't have a problem. Mr. Roddenberry doesn't have a problem. So I went on from there to look at what other backups and utilities we had to have to work in this thing. And Leonard Village can supply the water and sewer. I looked at escape routes, and basically for this particular site, we would route our people about 72 hours in advance up Lake Mirati Road, which is a cutoff to State Road 67, just to get them out of there quicker. I don't even know if Ho-Hum does that. But that's what we're planning to do. It's a pretty small operation, but we do have enough room to accommodate those 9 units and still do some of the commercial issues that we'll need to do. One is the stormwater management plan, and like I said, we also provided this evacuation route. So if you got any questions in that regard, I'll be happy to entertain them.
Go ahead.
Mr. Chairman, I don't have any questions, Dan. I'm glad to see that y'all have an evacuation plan for that particular piece of property, being it's right on the bay there when it comes to storms and other things. So I think that's a good preventative measure to help keep damage down during a storm. That's the only
and
comment I have.
essentially, the person we use allows it for like C4 mixed use, which basically means buildings on piles. And in my opinion, you just have more potential damage in harm's way versus this, where once you get the RVs out of there, there's just not going to be much of anything to damage substantially, and so it just seemed like a better use for it than go with the townhomes as a principal use or mixed use.
Mr. Chairman, there was no public comment.
No, there was not.
I'm gonna make a motion to approve.
Second.
I got a motion on the floor by Commissioner Parrish, second by Commissioner Bolt. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That passed unanimous.
Thanks a lot. Stay safe. See you then.
Thank you.
Same to you.
Thank you. Let's see.
So, Commissioners, we come to the what I spoke about earlier, about the tabling, the request to table the 6.08 acre parcel, both for the land use change and the rezoning change at this time, to table this until exact time on November 17, 2020 at 10:30 a.m. So if the board is willing to accept that, we would need a motion, and Amy, shake your head yes if that's true, you and Attorney Schuler, that we need a motion to actually grant that request and reschedule that public hearing until then.
So move.
Second.
I got a motion on the floor by Commissioner Burke, second by Commissioner Massey. Table. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That passed unanimous.
And commissions, then the next item would be item S, which applies the same request to table for the 10 acre parcel, both a land use change and rezoning.
So move.
Second.
I got a motion on the floor by Commissioner Parrish, second by Commissioner Massey and Burke.
And for the record, Commissioner, that's also
All in
November
favor?
7th, I'm sorry, also November 17th at 10:35 a.m. Commissioner, I just want to get that, Mr. Chairman, on the record.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That passes.
Okay, that
Now,
concludes.
that's the same people, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Both of them. Okay.
And that concludes my report. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Amy.
That's it.
Yeah, leave that there for me. I got to put it back just in case.
Thank you, Ms. Amy.
Now, let me see if I can get Tracy unmuted. Seems to be. Is she? Oh, no, I'm sorry. We need to go to Mr. Crowell. He's finally unmuted. And, okay, Mike, are you there? Can you hear us now?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Good morning. Sorry about all the confusion.
That's okay. I appreciate it. My name is Michael Crail. I live here in Franklin County, Florida. Shall I go ahead?
Yes, sir. I'm sorry. Go ahead, sir.
Oh, very good. Thank you. National POW MIA Recognition Day is September 18th. National POW MIA Recognition Day was established in 1979 through the proclamation signed by President Jimmy Carter. Since then, each subsequent president has issued an annual proclamation commemorating the third Friday in September as National POW MIA Recognition Day. A national level ceremony is held every year. In addition to the national level ceremony observances on this day that are held across the country, no matter where they are held, these ceremonies share the common purpose of honoring those who were held captive and returned, as well as those who remain missing. Since 1999, the POW MIA accounting community has created a poster commemorating this day. The 2020 edition of the poster continues to honor this tradition and will be on display at all Franklin County buildings and offices through September. The posters are available from dpaa.mil. They are free to the general public. You can go to that website and order anytime to get your poster commemorating National POW MIA Recognition Day, which is September 18th. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your service.
And commissioners, y'all can see that we have posters around the meeting room. I thought we had 3 different locations. Is there one right there?
Mhm.
Yes, sir. 3 different locations around the room, the posters that he's referring to. And we leave them there for the month, the entire month, so that when we have our next meetings or any other meetings, they'll be posted there, be seen through a live stream and Zoom.
Okay, next.
And I hate to keep jumping around the agenda, Commissioner, but would you go to the clerk, and then let me try and get Tracy on the line
Okay.
for her presentation.
Next on the agenda will be Ms. Marcy Johnson, clerk of the court.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I just wanted to mention, remind you all that we have our virtual budget public hearing on September 8th at 5:15. It'll be done just like these meetings are being done today. And then also, I'd like to ask the board if you would schedule a virtual meeting on September 30th so that we could end the year and approve county bills and all that day also.
Pleasure to board.
So moved.
I got a motion on the floor by Commissioner Massey. Who was second by?
Second.
Second
Would that
by
be,
Commissioner
what
Burke.
time would be good? 9 o'clock that morning? Aaron, is that?
It's really up to you all. Yeah, what is the?
What time y'all want it?
We could even do
Put that in the
afternoon
motion.
strictly for bill payment.
I'm flexible anytime y'all, what time y'all
Why don't
want?
we do it in the morning?
Morning,
Yeah, and we have the rest of the day.
Okay.
9 o'clock?
Yep.
Okay. Well, I got a motion on the floor by Commissioner Parrish, second by Commissioner Burt. We'll have that meeting at 9 o'clock in the morning on the 30th,
September 30th.
September the 30th. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That passed unanimous.
Okay, and then Aaron had an update, financial update today on the budget and the St. George Island bathroom project. So I'll turn it over to Aaron.
You got it, Ms. Aaron.
Hey there. I actually have some good news for you all today. At the budget workshop on Thursday, July 30th, the board set a preliminary millage rate for the trim notices at 5.9026. That was just below the current millage rate of 5.9494 and 3.69% over the rollback rate. The renewal rates for Capital Health Plan were not available at the time of the budget meeting, and an estimated 10% increase, which was $144,492 in additional costs, was used for the preliminary budget presentation. On August 3rd, Capital Health Plan released the renewal rate at a 2% increase. The cost for individual coverage rose from $645.31 per month to $658.22 per month. This reduction from the estimated 10% increase to a 2% increase reduced the proposed budget by $114,599. This change reduced the preliminary millage rate to 5.8490 from 3.69% over the rollback rate to 2.75% over the rollback rate. The Office of Tax Research held a second revenue estimating conference on August 14th. Updated revenue estimates were released this past week, and fortunately, the sales tax proceeds estimates were revised upwards for the general fund by $108,258 and for the road and bridge fund by $68,456. Although the revenue estimates are still down, the estimating conference is anticipating the effects of the coronavirus pandemic to be not as long-lasting or drastic as the market anticipated several months earlier. Although the rate that went out on the trim notices was the 5.9026, at the first public virtual hearing, the BOCC will incorporate the reductions from the finalized rates from CHP and now the improved sales tax revenue estimates from the Office of Economic and Demographic Research. This will bring the proposed millage rate down from 5.9026 to 5.7761, from 3.69% over the rollback rate to 1.47% over the rollback rate. So again, 5.7761 is the new proposed millage rate.
That's good. That's
And
real
that's
good.
it for the budget update. I do have the St. George Island bathrooms project.
Go ahead. That's a good.
Yep.
Thank you for that.
And we still have another level of time. This may even go lower with some other options.
Well, it could, if anything else positive happens by September 8th, which would be the first public hearing, and then we have another, second public hearing after
On the
that as
22nd.
well. So-
I mean, don't forget, we still have pending the possibility that if the Heroes or the other act passed, can't remember the name of the other one, Heals of Heroes, that we will have access to $500,000 that will go towards the budget too. So that's still out there, waiting for the federal government to do something.
They're not even talking about the timeline on that.
Depends on which news story you read, sir. I hate to say it that way, but yeah.
I know. They come out too late. Go ahead on the St. George Island.
And Franklin County awarded the SGI bathroom project at a cost of construction of $450,000. I solicited rates from both local banks, and the two rates that came in as followed for a maximum loan value of $450,000. People's South Bank presented an 8-month construction loan that was 2.25% fixed interest only, and then it will transition to a 5-year 2.95% fixed term loan with no origination fee. Centennial Bank, their proposal was a $4,500 origination fee, 3.8258% fixed 9-month construction loan draw period, and then it would be amortized over the remaining term up to 5 years. As People's South had the best rate, the 5-year estimated payment would be $95,241 per year. The tourist development tax proceeds are limited by Florida statute to spending no more than 10% each year on beach park facilities. With this limitation and the estimated sales tax proceeds being closer to $1.3 million each year, Additional payments could be applied to principal, and this loan could be repaid in under 4 years if sales tax proceeds hold true, and if the additional payments are desired by the Board of County Commission and Tourist Development Council. Action requested would be permission for the chairman to sign the letter of commencement with People's South Bank for the construction financing for the SGI bathroom project.
So moved.
Second.
I got a motion on floor by Commissioner Jones, second by Commissioner Parrish. And that, People South got the best, them the best numbers I heard. So, need to go with them. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That passed unanimously. That's it.
All right, Commissioner.
Y'all keep up the good work.
I'm sorry.
We'll go back now.
Unfortunately, Tracy has a FEMA meeting that I was unaware of at 11, and her discussion will last a lot longer than that. So what I'll probably have to do, depending on what time she gets off that meeting, if not today, we'll have to schedule a special meeting prior to your budget public hearing next Tuesday, a week from today, and we'll hear from Ms. Busby at that time, okay? That'd probably be the best solution for that. Because it's really important that she's on the FEMA meeting because that benefits us also. So I just want to make sure she gets to that meeting, okay?
Well, would it be feasible for people to call her?
Yes.
Could you put out her numbers?
Yes, I will. I'll put her email number's out there, but I'll put it out again on the county's website, okay? And I'll run it by, as a PSA for both the Times and Oyster Radio.
Yeah, because the reason I said that, because I had some people ask me how you do this. I told them I ain't have no idea. We got a consultant who handle that. And they let them do it. They need to talk to them. I don't want to tell them nothing wrong.
Yes,
I
sir.
don't know what to tell them.
So that's where we are with that.
So are you thinking that maybe we might still hear Tracy before noontime?
Well, it depends on how long our meeting lasts, Commissioner.
I see.
Okay. So, because she couldn't tell me, and I didn't realize she had an 11 o'clock.
I understand.
If I knew, well, anyway, yeah, but yeah, I am.
Now, we got to come back this afternoon. Could we do it then? Would that be, can we do that, Mr. Chu?
Well, we do open up in a public hearing setting to begin the executive session, but I'm not sure that I would recommend that we blend the two together because I'm not sure the public is going to be tuning in much for 1:30, so it may not serve the purpose of getting the word out publicly.
Okay.
Yes. So.
I mean, it's entirely up to the board, but I think that's my thoughts on the matter.
No, I don't want the public to say we didn't tell them that.
Yeah, and this is very important matter where you have a lot of businesses in the county that want to hear this and know what's going on. So
we'll just wait and do it.
Yeah, and I'll advertise it for next Tuesday, Commissioner.
when it's
But
advertised.
I guess I need a motion for that, Attorney, to do a special meeting?
Schedule a special meeting, yes, sir.
Yeah, so if we could, I'd rather be safe than sorry, so if the board doesn't mind to just go ahead and schedule a special meeting, we could start it at 5. I don't think well, let me start at 4. Is 4:30 okay? This might be a long discussion, because I think the board has a lot of questions for Ms. Busby about this money and this funding. So, start at 4 or 4:30. What's good with everybody's schedule?
4:30 would be good with me if they can do it.
Okay.
4:30. Flexible.
Commissioner Parrish,
Anytime.
4:30? Next Tuesday when we have to meet for the budget? But yeah, maybe like a half an hour prior to the budget? 40.
Put an hour in there.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking about, 4.
4, okay.
You know, you gotta put an hour in there.
Yeah, we got.
Okay.
Commissioner Jones, are you good with 4?
I'm good with any time the board's good with.
Okay. So I'll advertise a special meeting for 4 next Tuesday, just specifically to hear from Ms. Busby on the CARES Act funding. Then there'll be no interruptions, no deadlines, nothing else. Oh.
Now, what'll happen if it takes longer than that and we got to go into the?
If it takes longer than an hour and 15 minutes to discuss that, I don't know, maybe we'll have to recess, go do the budget hearing, and then come back to it afterwards.
Can we do that?
Or we could recess that to another time if we have to.
Can we do that? I mean,
Well, Mr. Chairman, my thoughts are that if you have an hour and 15 minutes before the budget, although I don't ordinarily attend your budget hearings, I suspect that there is a hours-long period where people would be trying to wait and then come back to the CARES Act, so you may have a lot of people that can't wait that long. So I would suggest if you can't finish up with one special meeting, perhaps schedule another special meeting just to address that. Just a recommendation for the board's consideration.
Or we could forward it, if we can't get through it next Tuesday, we could forward it to the following county commission meeting, which is the following Tuesday, the next regular meeting.
Once she gets her information out where they can get the money and how to do it, it ain't gonna take,
Yeah,
that's what they wanna hear is the information, how to contact to get the money.
yes. And I apologize to the public for this confusion, but the timing didn't work out exactly as I thought it would. That happens more often than not, so.
I don't want them to say this board holding back nothing, none of that junk. So we gonna.
Yeah. And to address that, Mr. Chairman, know that we're still accepting applications, and we're still conversing with people. If there's an issue or problem, we tell them, how to correct their application. So I don't want you to think that there's nothing going on while we're waiting. No, we're still accepting applications. What we're not doing is reviewing or approving anything until this board gets to see the amount of application, the amount of money that's being requested, and you guys decide how you're going to break up this money into pots. That's what we're waiting for the board for. But we are talking to businesses. I had a number of calls last week, for applications. So, yes. Like you said, up to yesterday, yesterday evening.
We don't want nobody to think we're trying to leave them out.
We're not.
Okay. What y'all want a motion now?
Yes, I just need a motion for the special meeting on 4 o'clock next Tuesday.
So moved.
Second.
I got a motion on the floor by Commissioner Massey, second by Commissioner Burke. Any more discussion on it? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That passed unanimous. So next will be what? You?
Yes, sir.
Okay, next on the agenda will be Mr. Michael Marone, County Coordinator.
All right, Commissioner. So under my heading, item 1, at your last meeting, the board extended the suspension of Planning and Zoning Commission meetings and Board of Adjustment meetings and authorized the county planner to continue exercising the powers and duties of both boards until October 6th. The intent of this action was to allow the board an opportunity to review its options on a format to proceed with. As I indicated at the last meeting, a majority of the board members, that's both boards combined, prefer to meet in the same manner that the county commission is meeting, using Zoom or something similar or the teleconference system. If the board would allow virtual meetings for the Planning and Zoning Commission and the Board of Adjustment, I recommend revamping both boards from the current number of seats and the makeup to a 5-member district seating with 2 alternate seats. Each commission would nominate someone from their district to each seat. That's 1 in Planning and Zoning and 1 in the Board of Adjustment. And collectively, the commissioners would nominate 2 alternates. And those alternates will only participate as needed to meet quorum requirements for each of the 2 boards. I attach a list of current members that you may choose from, that's those currently serving, or seek new members. Some of you have 2 people serving from your district, and some of you have none. So we'll have to, you guys need to look at that list, and I apologize, I'm going to distribute a list before you leave today. I should have attached it to my report. Once all seats have been filled on both boards, I've asked Mr. Curenton, your planner, and Ms. Amy Kelly, your zoning administrator, to host a training workshop with each board so that the members are aware of what is expected of them as members. This change in the makeup of P&Z and Board of Adjustment will require an amendment to the current zoning ordinance. As stated to me, sir, Amy explained that to me, sir. The other option would be to consider a special master to review and make recommendations to the county commission on P&Z and Board of Adjustment applications. I've not researched that option as yet, but if the board is interested, I will. So I need action to decide on which option we're going to go forward with to review and recommendations for your planning and zoning and Board of Adjustment applications. And if it is using the two boards, then Attorney Schuler will probably have wording for the way to word the motion so that we start the amending of that ordinance.
Pleasure of the board. Discussion?
How's the board doing? Do we have enough members? And are they able to arrive timely and do the job that they can do?
It'll be, the way planning and zoning is make up right now, I think we have just enough for quorum, maybe. So if one member does not show up, based on the way it is, like I think it's a 9-member board right now, then then you can't proceed with a meeting. We won't have a quorum.
Yeah.
Board of Adjustments is a smaller board, so they require less of a quorum. So that's what I'm saying. If this is the process you want to go forward with, Commissioner, I would prefer we just revamp the seating where each of you assign someone to the board. That's 5 members, 3 is a quorum. We'll have 2 alternates, so in case we don't have 3 of the regular members, you have alternates to fill in to make sure you have at least 3 members there.
Okay.
And we can continue with approving applications or discussing and reviewing applications. Let's put it that way.
Well, let me ask a question.
Yeah.
Like, the Board of Adjustment, they had 5 all the time, right?
I think they did, sir, yes.
Yes. Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
Was that something that, why did the planning and zoning have to have 9? Was that some of the statute?
Before my time, the
Mr.
way
Chairman,
the
that
history was decided.
is just the way that the ordinance was adopted back in the late 80s, and that's how the membership was originally configured by the county commissions to have that number of individuals so that you would have a broad range of different perspectives from various industries and commercial interest and general citizens' input whenever they were reviewing development applications. So in order to meet that broad-based sort of community input, that may be the reason there's so many members on the Planning and Zoning Board. But
So it ain't no state, there's no state law we got to have them?
not that I'm aware of, no, sir. This is just our local county zoning ordinance, and y'all do have the ability to amend that. I'm not certain that you're going to need to make any changes to your Board of Adjustment. I think they've always been 5 with some alternates. P&Z has, and frankly, the Board of Adjustment, those are meetings that I have been regularly attending since probably 1993. We've rarely ever had a quorum problem with the Board of Adjustment.
Right.
I know planning and zoning, particularly after the economic collapse of the real estate market in 2006, there just wasn't any development applications being received by the county, so they got out of the habit of having meetings. And then when it was time to have a meeting, people were unaccustomed to meeting and they were having problems with quorums. Things have been picking up, frankly, since probably 2013 or 14 in the real estate market. Frankly, I'm surprised at the surge in real estate during this COVID pandemic crisis. You would have thought people would have been staying away, but actually the real estate market in Franklin County is booming right now. There's a lot of transactions occurring. But the board and the public, I think, are fairly accustomed to having public advisory boards. So whether the board wants to revamp the P&Z into a smaller, I guess, board with fewer members in order to increase the likelihood of having a quorum, much like Board of Adjustment, as long as you have 3 members show up, you have a quorum. As opposed to P&Z, which is larger and has had problems with the quorum, then maybe revamp P&Z if that's the board's desire, see how that works, and if you don't like it, you can come back and make a further change to the ordinance in the future.
Go ahead.
Mr. Chairman, the original P&Z board was set up to have different people from different sectors
Right.
of the community. In other words, if you elect, each commissioner appoints somebody, you may look around, you may have 5 real estate agents on the P&Z. Or you could have 5 oystermen. In other words, the way it's set up now, you got a forester on there, you got an environmentalist on there, you got people from the seafood industry on there. In other words, and those spots had to be filled with those particular people so that the board don't get filled up with one sector of the community. You could have 5 preachers on there. I mean, you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Everybody
Yeah.
appoints somebody, but you don't have absolute buy-in from the community because it's not, this member represents forestry, this member represents seafood, this member represents real estate. You won't have that now. Each commissioner will appoint somebody, and Lord forbid if we all appoint the same person from the same sector of the community. And it's not as big a deal now as it was back during the big land boom. You wanted a good board from a lot of diverse backgrounds. We're doing away with that under the current proposal. We're just going, everybody's going to appoint somebody and that's it. That's the difference of why you had 9 members to begin with on P&Z. And as the attorney stated, we have problems getting people to come to the P&Z meetings. So, you know, you have to look at it from that realm, and you have to understand why there was 9 members, because they're representing all these different segments of the community. And you had all these different opinions depending on what, in what position and who they were representing on the board. That's the change. I mean, I'm not saying it's a bad change, but I'm saying if you got one organization or one sector of the community out there that's not being represented, it could end up being a problem. Maybe so, maybe not. As things have changed in Franklin County and the way we do things, it's not like it used to be. It's not like it used to be, and nothing in the world is, I guess. As it pertains to COVID, as it pertains to a lot of different things.
Well, what, like you saying, what, you finna lose that now.
Exactly.
You're finna lose, you're gonna lose the 4.
But if you,
I mean,
but if
we're
you go
gonna
with a
appoint-
special master, you won't even have no board.
Yeah.
He'll look at it and say, this is allowed by your comp plan. And that's what you'll go with.
Yeah.
So you'll have no public input.
You got that.
But that's the way a lot of communities do it, right?
Some do, I can't say a lot. I don't have any way of quantifying that.
A lot of people do it that way because you just go by what the special master tells you. I'm gonna reference the dollar store in Lanark Village. We're now facing a lawsuit because the people didn't want it. Well, things have changed now. The people expect the commissioners to represent the people. But it ain't up to us no more. It ain't up to what the people want. It's up to what's written in our comp plan and everything else. If it's allowable, you can't go by what your constituency tells you. I don't want a dollar store in Lanark Village. We've done that. Now we're being sued for it. And we're gonna lose most likely.
Well, that's what.
You can't represent your people.
Well, you can't go.
Things, like I said, things are changing every day.
That's just like, I mean, you know, law is the law. If we, that's our law. Planning and zoning. We got laws just like the traffic. When the sheriff department say they got a speeding ticket, they got a speed law. Well, we got on them books telling us we can do this. I don't care if people come in and move. I don't want to see this, and I don't want. You got a problem. Well, I'm gonna vote for what the law says. Then they get mad with us.
That's correct.
But it's what I got to go by. What the law says.
Smokey, you sat on the P&Z, all of that. What you think's the best way to go?
I don't know. Everything's changed. I can't sit here and make a recommendation one way or the other, because it's not like it used to be.
Right.
Used to, you could listen to your people the people that elected you to put you in office. Now it's got to where you can't represent those people. You got, as the chairman said, you gotta follow the law.
Yep.
Don't matter if all them people in Lone Rock Village don't want no dollar store, it ain't up to us. It's up to the court system.
Now see, Coach,
Uh-huh.
you're gonna lose, we finna lose all the specialty. Like,
We already have.
we finna lose all the specialty, like, you know, this someone representing the forestry or something like that.
Right. You're not gonna have that.
You're not gonna, all them different
Backgrounds. And all that.
backgrounds,
Yeah. You're not gonna have that no more.
that they automatically finna go. And we gonna get 5 people, one from each district. Well, they might represent this, they might be a seafood worker, they might be a teacher, they might be a, you know, whatever, you don't know what kind of job they got.
We gotta make a decision.
Well, the problem is, the way it's set up now with the forestry and the different type of seats, remember something, commissioners, this is a volunteer board.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
This is a volunteer board, and so we're having a lot of problems finding people, as Commissioner Parrish alluded to want to sit here, and they're heavily criticized sometimes. They were attacked, you know, and so, you know, I mean, I get it, I understand how things used to be, but, and we want to make sure, you know, I think what Commissioner Parrish is also alluding to is that you just don't want to put somebody in there just because they want to volunteer. That always doesn't work out for the best either. You want somebody that understands the role that they're going to fill sitting on either Planning and Zoning or Board of Adjustment. You know, so
People not obligated.
it's hard to, I'm with Commissioner Parrish, it's hard to decide which way to go. You know, I went with the 5 pointing back, because I figured you guys as commissioners, you would look at people that you think will represent your district and do a good job on planning and zoning. So, so giving up forestry or giving up the specialty seats for people that you guys look at and would recommend to put on this board, that was my choice. That's how I looked at it. I figured you guys would know best who in your district would serve well in planning and zoning, who well in your district would serve well in Board of Adjustment, you know? Same thing you do at a hospital board, who in your district serves well on a hospital board.
Well, see, it's like this, you got on the east end of the county. And when they was having the meetings over here, you got 12 meetings, sometime more, once a month at least, they were having a meeting. Them people were volunteering their time. They even had to buy the gas to come over here. And you know, we ain't offer them nothing. Not even a tank of gas or thank you. But that thank you, you know, obligation, that generation is getting the stink. For real.
If you don't really care about your community
Right.
and trying to help shape your community,
Mhm.
you don't need to be on there.
I agree.
I mean, it's not all about, you know, the volunteers and we don't get paid. If you don't have a concern
That's right.
for your community, and when I say community, I'm talking about Franklin County as a whole.
And
And
most-
being on there just because you want to volunteer ain't no good. You have to read that comp plan and that land development code book, and you have to understand how the two work together.
Mhm.
And then you have to look at each project that comes up and see how all that fits
Mhm.
together. And if you don't have the time, or you don't have the concern for your community and which way development is going on in this county and the effects of that development,
What's the point?
what's the point?
I wonder if we
Gotta
might,
make a decision.
you know, why don't we maybe consider paying for a professional individual who can do this for us and give us recommendations, that does this every day and understands this mechanism, and only do it, say, for 6 months trial and see how that feels. Would that be a thought?
You
What-
come out special master.
Whatever that title is, a special master or a trained consultant that actually has the credentials to do such a thing and does it in other counties. And get that type of very in-depth recommendation that comes from trained, experienced individual who is able to do these kinds of reports and provide us with that input.
You have to understand, Mr. Chairman, you have to understand when you go with a special master, you're pretty much obligated to go with whatever he wants, regardless of what your constituency would like to advocate. Just like we got all these letters about some special hearings coming up in the month of November. You pretty much can't listen to what people are telling you or what your constituency expects of you as a commissioner. Same ones that voted and put you in office. So if you go with a special master, you're going to have to go with his recommendation. If you don't, you go against the special master, whoever the applicant is going to take the recommendation of that special master and take it to court with him. And as you said, we got this real qualified person here saying this is what you should do, but you as a commissioner or a board goes the other way, they're going to take that special master's recommendation, they're going to take that to circuit court with them. And guess who's going to win and who's going to lose? You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do.
But you're not elected by the special master, you're elected by the people. But you can't do what the people want you to do because you're obligated to follow the special master, or if you don't, it's going to be used against you in a court of law.
I wasn't aware that we would be obligated with the special master's
If
recommendation.
you
I
go
thought he's
against
an
the
input
special master
consultant.
with all these qualifications you're talking about, and that goes to court, you better have a good reason to go against the special master. Because they're going to say your own county staff recommended you do this, and you decide to vote the other way, then they're going to take that to court and they're going to use that against you.
And it's gonna cause, stuff like that gonna cause a problem anyway, because you're gonna have a special master for planning and zoning, and then you're gonna want these people over here for the board of adjustment.
We got to make a decision, sitting there arguing back and forth.
And to bring up something else, was Commissioner Parrish said at the last meeting or 2 meetings ago when we were talking about replacing your planner. Commissioner, well, I'm not against it or for it, but I will say one thing that you'll have to consider. Remember now, this special master has zero history about your county. He's looking at the comp plan and lands on say, okay, how does this apply, blah, 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 that's it. Versus, again, I'm not against any one of the two, but versus a board that, again, I hope each of you of commissioners would appoint people that have that history, that understands how things have happened, where we're going, what's important to the people and what's not. So that's just something else for you to consider, sir. That's all I was saying.
How y'all want to do this?
But we could try, like, one thing Commissioner Bull said, we could try this for 3 months, 6 months. This, the recommendation I had. If we don't like it, like Commissioner Schuler says, we go back to what we had.
Now, let's clarify what Attorney Schuler actually said.
Attorney Schuler said.
Which was,
Everybody's a commissioner.
Oh, I'm sorry. I said, did I say that? I'm so sorry. I just, you know.
What I had suggested is if the board wanted to reduce the number of membership on the planning and zoning in order to more easily facilitate a quorum requirement, because that's been a problem that we've been having continuously. Doesn't mean that you have to eliminate the various categories that need to be filled, but you have to understand that it may well be that multiple qualified candidates could come from one single commissioner's district, and you may not necessarily have one representative from each of the five.
Yes.
But you would be able to fill the categories similar to what your current code requires, but certainly when you go from 9 to 5, then some categories are going to have to be eliminated, and the board would have to make the decision on what categories would remain and which ones would not. But no, I was not recommending a temporary use of a special master. I have been, the board had directed me several months ago to begin work on a special master ordinance to bring back to you for your consideration. That ordinance is, probably 60% constructed at this point. Certainly nothing that's ready for board or public consumption. But if instead we're looking at maybe reconfiguring the P&Z, that would be the way to proceed as opposed with a special master.
And I'm sorry, Attorney Schuler, I wasn't recommending the special master part of it, just the time amount that we put on this proposal that we come up today with reconfiguring the planning and zoning. I apologize, that's not what I meant to come across. But the reason, and not to sound like Commissioner Massey, but the reason we might need to push for, to make a decision is because we only have up until October 6th. And so then your county planners authority runs out, and we were hoping that in October we could switch to the planning and zoning, have their first meeting in October. So that's not to put pressure on anybody, but that's kind of what we were looking for.
Pleasure of the board. What y'all want to do?
Is Commissioner Jones still with us?
Oh, yes. Right there. I guess, Commissioner Jones, do you have any, anything to add?
No, I think they've summarized well where we're at. We definitely have to get back to something different than putting all this on Mr. Currington, because that's, he's helped us, and I'm glad he's able to do it, but we still haven't even compensated for what he has done. So we definitely need to move forward in one direction or another. I just haven't heard any clear direction from the board today about how they feel.
I don't know which way to go. I mean,
Again, we could try my recommendation for 3 months, for 6 months, and if not working out, we come back to it.
Which one, yours?
Mm-hmm. Just everybody appoint somebody and just be mindful of who you're appointing to the board.
We can try it.
Well, if that is the inclination of the board, you would need to also authorize me to conduct a public hearing so that you can amend the county zoning code to change the membership for the planning and zoning.
All right, I'll make a motion to try like Michael said and to do what Attorney Schuler said to do.
okay. Got a motion on the floor by Commissioner Massey.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Jones.
Are we still saying that we're going to stay with a 5-member board?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Any more discussion? And how long? You said 3 months?
Up to the board, we could do it 3, 6 months.
How much time?
Whatever, 3 to 6 months, like he said, if it ain't working, we'll have to
We
do
can do it
something
6 months if you need. If you want.
You can decide that at your public hearing.
Right.
Yes.
Decide at the public hearing.
Okay. All right, y'all ready to vote?
Yep.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? I pass unanimous.
Right.
Now, what y'all gonna do, but that man done done all that overtime?
We're gonna work with it. We already said.
I did it after the last meeting, your direction, sir. Yeah, I talked to Mark, and he's going to get with Aaron at some point, and they're going to work something else, and I'll bring that back to the
Yeah,
board.
that's what we voted on last meeting.
Yes.
Yeah.
Item 2, the contractor for the sidewalk project over there in Carabel, County Road 67, has proposed a change order to the project. There's an area north of Avenue K where driveways will be crossing the sidewalk, and that was not noted on the original plans. At these driveway crossing, the depth of the sidewalk will be increased from 4 to 6 inches. At another location between C and D, Avenue C and D, there is a section of sidewalk that's badly broken up. The replacement of this area was not included on the original plans, but will be with this change order. The total cost of the change order is $11,599.15, but it will not change the completion time of the project. DOT has approved the change order, and the funds to pay for it are available in FDOT grant funds. Board action to approve this $11,599.15 change order for the County Road 67 Tallahassee Street Sidewalk Project. And let me be very clear, one more time, based on the phone calls some of you have been getting, this is a City of Carabel project that because they're not lab certified and we are managing for them, but, and they are aware of this change order, you know, but this is their project, not ours, Commissioners, because I've seen some criticism about the project, and apparently for some strange reason, people think it's a county project. It's not.
So moved.
Second.
I got a motion on the floor by Commissioner Masters, second by Commissioner Burke. They certified the city okay with the changes?
Yep. Mark sent an email to Ms. Dempsey, the city manager.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That passed unanimous.
Item 3, the county has received a beautification grant from FDOT to enhance the approach to St. George Island along State Road 300, which we've been discussing about for some time now. Before the county advertises for bids to do the work, we need to apply for a permit to work on FDOT's right-of-way. They require a resolution from the county requesting the permit and authorizing the chairman to sign the necessary documents. Board action to authorize the chairman's signature on the resolution and the necessary documents to obtain this permit.
So moved.
So moved.
Second.
I got a motion on the floor by Commissioner Masters, second by Commissioner Jones. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That passed unanimous.
Item 4, your school district is having your homecoming festivities and events. They're scheduled for Friday, September 25th. One of the major events is a homecoming parade on that same day, and it's from 3, they changed it yesterday from 3 p.m. to 4 p.m. The parade is held in East Point. It'll have the same route as it has for the last 2 years, beginning at the intersection of C.A. Gillespie Street, then onto Highway 98, ending on Jefferson Street. FDOT permit is required, therefore the Board of County Commissioner approval is needed before they can apply for that permit.
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion on the floor by Commissioner Masters, second by Commissioner Burke. They done start playing football?
Actually,
Friday.
Commissioner, I believe, I'm
Friday
sorry,
night,
Commissioner.
First ball game.
Commissioner Jones?
Okay.
This Friday.
Yeah.
This Friday. And isn't the first game, Commissioner, the homecoming game? No?
No.
That'll be the
This
next
first
game. My dates
week
are off.
is senior night.
Senior night, that's what it is.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Y'all ready to vote? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That passed unanimous.
I'll blow through my information items and declarations. No need to read that. That's just for the record. Item 6 is that same item Alan was talking about this morning. The first paragraph is what he said in his report. The second one, excuse me, is Dewberry submitted 4 applications on behalf of the county. 1 is a potential living shoreline project, which are breakwaters at the 2 washout locations on C30A. The second is a drainage basin study for the north end of the airport to include a residential area. That should be area to the north of the airport. That's basically what we spoke of this morning with Peachtree and that whole issue. Third is the paving of West Pine Avenue on St. George Island. And the final submittal is the paving of Mill Road in Carabel. So this is the first step in this application process. If the Water Management District likes the project, they will request more information. I'll continue to update the board on the progress of these submittals as soon as Ms. Afcon and Mr. Kennedy submits them to me. And finally, the board may have noticed, my directions are off. Leslie Street is, anyway. Leslie Street, there was some damage to Leslie Street. It's the one-way right next to the courthouse. There was, the dirt just washed onto the road. Concrete broke, so the city is working on it. That's why it's closed. Their engineer, which happens to be Dewberry, is coming in to do the camera test, where they send the camera down to see where all the dirt is going. Is it a broken sewer line? Is it a broken stormwater line? And as soon as they know more, they'll let me know. The mayor and the city manager have been in constant contact with me. I told them if there's anything the county can do to help with them, to let us know. We'll be, we'll ask Howard to see what he can do to help them. But they have a long road on that one ahead of them to get Leslie Street repaired, gentlemen. And commissioners, that's all I have for you this morning.
Anybody got anything for Mr. Marone? Keep up the good work, Mike.
Sir.
Next on the agenda will be the county attorney, Mr. Michael Schuler.
I don't have a report for the board this morning.
All right.
But 1:30, remind him, 1:30.
Yes, we're going to meet back here at 1:30 for the executive session. We'll start out in a public hearing. Mr. Theriak will be here. He's going to be bringing agendas and some other documents for that particular meeting.
Okay.
And the court reporter will be here as well.
And that, ain't nobody gonna be able to come in here, right?
No, sir. We will see now I want to call him attorney. Commissioner Jones, he will participate via Zoom, but he will be the only one on there.
Okay. All right. Commissioner comment? No commissioner comment with that? Meeting adjourned.